When it comes to the Devil May Cry series, really there's only two games that you could say would benefit from a remake. DMC 3 onwards still hold up really well. DMC 1 you could say might benefit from a remake. I would agree that the game is dated in some areas, animations and voice acting for example. But I think the game has a charm that still holds up today, especially being the only Devil May Cry game that has that charm, gained from previously being a Resident Evil game. DMC 2 though, feels like a blank slate. I've always felt games that had potential but couldn't or didn't capture it are the ones that should be remade. Games like Resident Evil Survivor come to my mind. A game with amazing lore and story surrounding it, but the execution of the gameplay and voice acting has a lot to be desired. Imagine a game like that now after what we got with Resident Evil 8 or 7 being in first person. Within the Devil May Cry series, say what you want about 4 being an unfinished game and DMC Devil May Cry having terrible characterization. DMC 2 is still the worst game in the series. Looking back through the series, the game still stands out, which always gets me thinking, it deserves a remake, made to fit more into the overall legacy of Devil May Cry. DMC 2 deserves a second chance, and I'm going to explain why I think that. Now there is something to be said with companies only looking to the popular games to remake. Why remake a game that wasn't popular? Well, that's why I'm doing this video, to explain why I think remaking a game like DMC 2 would be incredible and benefit the overall series. Plus I want to go over what I would like to see in a remake, throw around some ideas. DMC 2 doesn't have a good reputation at all within the gaming community. It's looked at as one of the worst sequels. Makes sense when you got DMC 1, a game that pushed the hack and slash genre forward. A game with so much charm and love poured into it. But then we got DMC 2, which took a lot of steps backwards. In saying that though, as I mentioned on my DMC 2 review video, I think the game has a lot of potential. There is many things to point to that would have been amazing if fleshed out. Easy things to point out off the bat are improved environments. Keep to the type of environments within the game though. I enjoyed going through the towns and city. They could make it more of a impactful effort to go towards the main tower, since Dante's main goal is advancing to the tower going after Arius. Seeing the city more decayed the closer we get to the tower would be a great touch. A reaction from the evil meddling. Give the overall environments for the game more charm and things to interact with. In DMC 2 the environments were so empty and lifeless. The size of them and overall ideas of locations were good, but design wise it was all so bland. Since the environments are so big, why not add little environmental storytelling that can lead to secret items? Somewhat like a side mission. Don't have a person tell you what to do, but you can come across like a crime scene and within investigation you could find the demon responsible. Killing it might get you a special item. An idea that can add to the overall DMC gameplay but still keep within the vibe of DMC 2, since really the atmosphere of DMC 2 calls for some dark storytelling. All the other DMC games did an overall great job with bringing life to the environments. So with the remake now, I'm sure that'd be a big improvement for DMC 2. Other things like having more weapon options would be great, and also having introductions to weapons instead of just finding them laying around. An actual upgrade system would be nice, making you feel like you were progressing instead of pouring orbs into the weapons not knowing what you were getting out. Introductions with new enemy types as well would bring more impact to the overall gameplay. Most of the time in DMC 2 you'll just come across a new enemy type, but because we don't get introduction cutscenes like other DMC games, you are left feeling somewhat underwhelmed and you lose the interest in what you are fighting since the game doesn't care. Now all the things I just mentioned you would hope is common and expected with a current DMC game. I wanted to mention all that, but I expect all those improvements in gameplay keep it in line with the standard today from the franchise after DMC 5. Plus some overall new gameplay improvements. Secret rooms and AI of course as well, keeping to the current standards. Dante's style switching, I'm sure the feature would be in a remake. So really what I want to talk about more with a remake that is mainly exclusive to DMC2 is the characters and overall story. Because at the end of the day, the gameplay, graphics and side content I'm sure will be amazing going off DMC 5. Things more exclusive to DMC 2 gameplay wise though I'll quickly mention. The Ultimate Devil form, something seen in DMC 2, this form I think should stay similar to how it works in the original game. Keep it as a secret option, but they'll have to balance it. As well as the ambulance system, you can just detail and expand on. I thought that system overall worked fine. Though I love the roll button in DMC 2, it can be good fun rolling around levels. I don't think it could work with having a style switching system. So what I'm really interested in is how they'll tackle the story and characters for a DMC 2 remake. Starting with Dante. I do think keeping him in a somewhat depressed state is a good idea. Though I think he needs to talk more and be more interested in what is happening. In DMC 2 he doesn't seem to care at all and is going through the motions. I would like him to give more of a shit about what is going on. But the idea of Dante dealing with the trauma of losing his brother twice from DMC 1 and 3 is a good way to take the character. Give Dante an arc. DMC 2 leads into DMC 4 within the timeline. We need to see how Dante became the way he is in 4, which is more relaxed and playful. If we get Dante overcoming his trauma over the course of the game, I think that would be great. Lucia can be someone who helps Dante gain hope again and actually find the drive to continue ridding the world of demons. Speaking of Lucia, I did overall like her arc through the game. I just thought it wasn't executed right, because I personally didn't feel for her. I think we should have more of a lead up to finding out she is a creation. Give us some more backstory on Lucia with her upbringing as well. I think there wasn't enough dialogue and cutscenes showing Lucia at odds with herself. Lucia is one of the best things to come out of DMC 2, so it'll be great for her to be fully realised. Another reason a remake would be fantastic. Bringing that character back. People have been asking, it would set her up for a future sequel. Like in DMC 5, something that would be cool is having Dante's and Lucia's campaigns link with each other. Online players can jump into your campaign here and there, maybe having a couple sections with them fighting together, or seeing either character in background environments like how it's set up in DMC 5. It would be interesting if they'll do the two campaigns or combine them. Personally, I'd rather keep it two campaigns but trim the fat if needed. Arius could be more expanded on as well, learning more about the company, why he was creating clones, and how he got into the position to contact Argosax. Maybe the demon offered him the company in return for his escape, for example. Speaking of, we don't know anything about Argosax. What's his goal outside of leaving the demon world, and how did he get in touch with Arius? In the graphic art book, it said Sparta defeated him. We don't get much else with that, which goes into the bosses in the game. None of them are expanded on. You just fight them. Making boss fights more personal would add so much impact. DMC 1 showing the bosses talking to Mundus or explaining their beef with Sparta is all great and works to make these bosses feel more a part of the overall story. The series has always done good with this field outside of DMC 2. Bulver was an interesting looking villain with his two spirit dogs, but that's it, they are just boss fights. Within the DMC graphic arts book, it is said Bulver is out for revenge for past run-ins with Sparta. The fights with him would be more impactful if the information is told to us by him before fights. We can learn more about Sparta through that dialogue too, which is something originally I thought DMC 2 could have done more. Give us information on Sparta. Sparta helped combat demons with the people of Vila-E. Why not tell us something of his adventures, whether that's through dialogue or interacting with environments? As well as, like I mentioned before, having demons tell us what he's done. Granny mentions how she'll tell us the story of Sparta if Dante is successful. Why not give us a flashback showing some of Sparta's doings, so that when she mentions that, you have a good idea of what she is on about. Hell, why not have a section at the start of the game where you play Sparta fighting Argosax with the people of the island? We've been asking to be able to play the real Sparta for years. Plus doing that will add to fighting Argosax later on. as well as adding impact to what Granny says to Dante. Things can definitely be more flushed out within the story, giving more gravity to the gameplay. I've always thought DMC2's soundtrack was awesome. Keeping to that style or even remixing it would be great. The moody atmosphere was always great in the game. Keeping the moody soundtrack but within a detailed, depressed city is key. I think they could really make a dark Devil May Cry game with the type of Dante soundtrack and environments we get in the original game but expanded on. We're in a weird space with remakes. But if I had to really think of games that would benefit everyone if remade, DMC2 definitely comes to mind. Really, Capcom can't lose with remaking the game. As long as they keep to the spirit and exclusive contents of DMC2, but actually commit on the potential the game has. With Dante's design, Lucia, the moody atmosphere, and potential to make a really great story. A remake of DMC2 could really be something special. With that though, thank you very much for watching. If this video served to entertain, maybe think about liking, sharing, or subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Stay tuned to this channel for future Devil May Cry content. And with this video, tell me what you would love to see in a Devil May Cry 2 remake.